Yo. Before we go ahead and get started, let me just make sure I am good on my end with audio and everything. I think I'm good, but you never know. You know how these things have been treating me lately. It's like one day is fine, the next day is not fine. But hope y'all all are blessed and doing well in the meantime. Good. All right, it sounds like I'm great and I'm good over here. So let me know where y'all tapping in from. There's a lot that's been going on in the market, in the real estate market. So this is one of those ones where I highly encourage you to tap in, ask questions to really understand how is it that you can navigate this market. Because it's in regards to at least the past 2 weeks from my last stream, it's been a lot of changes, and a lot has been occurring. I would say in the back scene. So if you're not paying attention to it, you may be like, wow, this is what's really happening in the market right now. But yes, we do have some clarity. Well, at least it's a hypothesis, it's a prediction, it's just putting theories together. And where, there is a statement saying that, what's it called? The, I'm blanking right now. Affordability, especially housing costs, will go back to normal by 2030. And I was on a call today. Well, not really on a call. I was just listening on Federal Chairman Jerome Powell speak, and they actually have, I guess they make their own predictions and theories or game plans on when they expect their stuff to kind of fall in line. And by 2028, they were stating that they expect their target rate of 2% inflation to be kind of met at that point in time. So, kind of now aligning things where it's like housing costs should be normal, or at least could be normal by 2030 if certain things were to go in alignment. Kind of, adds up to that. But there's so much that can change in the meantime. So we're going to be talking about what theories that were put together, that were discussed in that article in itself. We're going to break it down entirely, so you guys are all aware. So if you're waiting for sorry, I got something in my eye. But if you're waiting for prices to come back to normal, or come back to earth, I guess a lot of you guys are all saying, then unfortunately, you may be waiting until 2030. So if you need to wait to that time frame, then knock yourself out. Just know, in the meantime, prices can still go up. In the meantime, if they go down, then hey, you just got yourself a nice deal, a nice bargain. But I really want you to understand where we're currently at, where things can go if certain things were to occur, so that you know exactly how to navigate this entire market. So as we go ahead and go through this entirely, I really want you also to understand where we're currently at in comparison to what normal actually is. That way you can go ahead and understand it. But we're going to be breaking down the four pathways that are discussed in this article about what is it going to take for it to become normal again. I'm not going to really talk about local market unless if you guys feel impalled, or at least want to let me know what market you're in. For some reason, you guys are a little bit too shy when it comes down to the, sharing what market that you're in, or at least what market that you're looking in. That way, I could help you understand, what things to really look at and identify. When will your market? I mean, granted, nobody really knows exactly when, but ideally, what you should really be looking for if you want your market to be normal, or what does it look like to be normal. And then the last thing I would say is what is really driving all these changes. So, and a lot's going to be around that one. So if you really want to know what this all means for your timeline, then make sure you stick around, because I always have something to share about that. But I don't know if you guys were there. I didn't really share for too long, so I'll go ahead and just put it on my screen real quick, because if you guys don't know what happened with mortgage rates, so I think when during Jackson Hole, which was I don't remember exactly when that Jackson Hole was, maybe a week or two ago. There was statements being made there, and from those statements, that's where you saw a big drop in mortgage rates if you pay attention to it on a week to week or day to day basis. And that, of course, threw in a lot of people who decided, hey, now is my time to get into the market. So That is what allowed mortgage rates to do what they gotta do. Let me. Why is it not doing it? There it goes. So yes, you see this picture here. It will show you exactly where mortgage rates are today, and our mortgage rate's gonna go lower. That's of course the $1 million question. I don't have the answer for you. As long as, again, the Feds continuously to cut their rates, then rates may go lower. There's not a guarantee on that front, just because the Feds don't really control mortgage rates. It's all about the 10-year, which I'm not gonna really get into all that jibby jabba stuff. But just know, if the Feds continue to cut, then yes, maybe lower, but how low is, of course, the $1 million question. I posted on my Instagram, so if you guys want to go ahead and follow me, then you can see it. It was Mr. Kevin O'Leary. I forgot what they call him. Mr. Wonderful. There it goes. And he actually made a post, and I think it's really insightful to hear from his perspective on what it is where he thinks mortgage rates are really going to go. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you can go ahead, and my Instagram is right here for you, where you can go ahead and just go onto my story and just kind of see what he had to say about it. I highly encourage it, especially if you're in the market now, just giving that a listen and really hear what he has to say. Just because, again, this is someone that has a way more insight than me, probably has a lot more experts behind him as well, and has resources to understand a little bit more what's going on. So for those of you that are waiting for those low mortgage rates, I mean, you'll hear it in the video, but he literally said, like, yeah, we won't never see those times for a very, very long time. So I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but I think, me personally, I'm here to give you the reality, the truth, the uncut thing, the unversion, the unbiased version, and all that stuff, just to help you really understand and how is it that you can navigate. Because I don't know about y'all, but I see a lot of information nowadays that can be biased, and also in a sense where it's like, are you really trying to help? But who am I to say that? But let me know where you guys are tapping in from. Just if I do want to go into local markets, we can go ahead and do some. I do want to let you guys know this is a place where we do talk about real estate on a weekly basis. I need to stop saying the weekly basis. I keep sticking to my old schedule. I'll go back to weekly eventually, but not right now. But let me know where you guys are tapping in from. This is a place where you can get updated on what's going on in the real estate market. So if you're in the market to purchase, or maybe you're trying to help somebody purchase, then I would say this is the place to be. And go ahead and share it with whoever else you know that may be in the market that needs to be fully up to date with what's going on, so they know exactly how to navigate it. Because my goal here is to make sure you have the advantage in the buyer's. Well, right now we're in a buyer's market, but as a buyer in general, because it's not always going to be a buyer's market. So you got to remember that. So in the meantime, let's go ahead, and I want to share with you this clip that it's another housing essentially update that I did come across, and I was like, I want you guys all to hear it. But if you really don't want to hear it, then you are free to dismiss yourself, essentially. But I think it's good information that you get to hear from someone outside of me share what's going on, or at least what they think is going on in the real estate market.
I'm going to take you back to 9 a.m., where you had 87 slides on the state of the housing market. But the most interesting one to me was where you said that home prices will go down next year before coming up again in 2027. How do you see that?
Well, it's really a tale of two geographies regionally. We have geographies that were the COVID winners, and now they're decelerating as we're seeing net migration under pressure, even lower in some states than it was in 2019, as well as really elevated resale inventory. And the inventory is then being pushed, even prices being pushed lower, because the home builders, their market share has grown so much in those markets. They've oversupplied the markets with spec. So when you add that, lastly, employment, you're looking at those markets that will be pressured. Whereas the other side of the coin are markets in the Northeast and the Midwest that were COVID losers that are seeing improving that migration. Inventory is kind of still well below COVID levels, and employment that's actually holding up. So what we're looking at are really all-in prices, we think in 26 that will be down about 0.8%, barring affordability doesn't improve dramatically.
Did y'all pick up what was just put down? Don't worry, there's more. There's more in there. But there's one piece that I literally ended it where I really wanted y'all to pick up what was being said there. But she did say prices are essentially going to come down in 2026. By how much? I think she said 0.8. So not even a full percentage, right? So for everyone that's again banking on prices to come down to earth again, I don't know how long you're gonna be waiting, but my friend, you might be waiting for quite some time. But at least you know, like at least just based off of what she said, certain markets were that did well during 2020 are getting beat down right now. Essentially, that's just what's happening, and then the other markets that didn't. So the Midwest and Northeast, those are two markets right now that are really doing well. So maybe she's interpreting or at least trying to state that in 2026 those markets that are doing well now will come maybe down a little bit, not sure exactly, or was she more or less saying the entire United States as a whole? So that's something to definitely go ahead and watch. But now wherever prices are right now 2026, they're estimated, right? And again, I don't know, she's not specifically talking about one market, so you guys got to really understand that real estate is a very hyper local when it comes down to how is it going to perform and what is it going to do in the near future. So just because she said that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen verbatim in that market. But now as a whole, right, there's a possibility prices can come down. So just it may not be where everybody and their mama wants it to come down to. But also, a piece that I can't forget to mention is she did mention prices will rebound. Well, I don't know if she said will, but prices may rebound in 2027. So you have an entire year to literally make a decision on whether you're going to sit this one out or you're going to go ahead and proceed. If you decide to sit it out and you see prices go up in 2027, you can't be mad at nobody but yourself. But let's go ahead and I got this. There's another piece of it that I really want you to hear. And let me go ahead and do this again.
But, you focused on affordability, and let's talk about the builders specifically. They've been buying down mortgage rates aggressively. Your number was 73% of builders, and more than half of them were buying down by more than 100 basis points. So if they're lowering rates into the 5% range already, then we see rates come down even more by the Fed, perhaps. Then you're having affordability is improving. Yes, doesn't that send many more people into the market and therefore push prices higher?
Well, the builders have been pretty much offering mortgage rate buydowns when rates started going up in 2022. So today there are 1 to 2 years as low as 2.99, 3.99, and then for the remaining 30 years left, they'll do 4.99. So they've already been making it a buyer's market, providing very good value and affordability. So the real question is, will they keep providing mortgage rate buydowns as mortgage rates prevailing come down? And I think they will, because
it's hitting their margins. I mean, you said it.
But the margins will be less impacted because it gets less expensive as rates come down. But they have a lot of spec inventory, and it's not like wine. It doesn't get better with age. So they're motivated sellers, but the velocity that they want to keep sustained is going to be driven by the incentives. And while it might, on the margin, decrease a little bit, I think they're going to stay very active with buydowns.
But you bring up...
She said, it's not like wine. It doesn't get better with age. I think that right there is a bar. Wow. I mean, she's talking about spec homes. So, of course, the longer the home is sitting, waiting for a buyer, the worse it gets essentially for them. It doesn't get better. And that's what she means by spec homes. But the biggest piece I really hope that you got out of that is what the builders are offering in terms of buy downs at this current moment. And she also said something that I honestly, I'm going to bite my tongue on because I didn't think that this was going to be the case. But she said that builders will continuously offer their incentives. So that's a really good thing going into 2026. And we're talking about builders still offering their incentives. I mean, we're talking about you're going to have a really good rate. I mean, pricing is going to be pricing in itself, but at least you can navigate that entire situation by just, again, controlling what your monthly budget is going to be. I think that's the biggest thing. If you look at price is one thing, but I think what are you dishing out every single month for your monthly mortgage is way more important than price. Because, I mean, if you guys don't know, you can manipulate it all. In a good and bad way, honestly. by just essentially positioning yourself in the right place and time, whether it's you put yourself with the right product, whether you put down a larger down payment, whether you get a really great rate or a really bad one, right? So these are different ways that you can manipulate the mortgage rates, or at least mortgages in itself, to make and position yourself in a place where you can then afford it. But the key piece I really wanted you, and I hope that you got out of it, was builder incentives may not go away. Now, will they be as sweet? Will they be as good? Who knows? Only time will tell. But I had to share that with you because I know a lot of times, even in some of my videos, I've been mentioning like, hey, these builders incentives may not be here forever. And so hearing that from her perspective, which, I mean, you guys should have seen exactly. It's Ivy Zellman. That was her own summit, her housing summit. I don't know what role she really holds, but for her to be interviewed by CNBC, that kind of says she must hold some weight. But let me know if you guys have any questions on that. Let me know if you're watching on a replay. Just do hashtag replay in the comments just so I know I can shut you out next time when I do this. And, we can go ahead and keep it pushing. But let's really get into the meat and bones of everything that we need to discuss today. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to talk about this here. We're going to break it down piece by piece. I've highlighted this entire article. So, it's going to be a joy to kind of understand and see what exactly were these guys thinking and why are they saying what they're saying about housing prices can return, or at least the housing costs can return to normal by 2030. And I'm going to catch myself saying prices throughout this entire stream. I already know it if I'm already doing it. So, first thing first, what does normal really mean? So let me go ahead and zoom in on this so you guys can actually see what the heck is going on here. So when they talk about costs, right, they're more or less talking about their monthly mortgage throughout this entire article, right? But monthly mortgage, you can also say that's going to reflect the home prices. There's also mainly the home prices in itself. So today's report explores hypothetical scenarios. So I want to be real clear here. Hypothetical scenarios for the U.S. home price growth, mortgage rates, and income levels in which housing costs measured using the mortgage payments to income ratios would return to normal. So you have that. And the reason why I think it's important to identify that to begin with is because prices don't necessarily have to do anything. It could literally just be people making more money. It could just be an income thing, right? Income now matching, or at least increasing to the point where people are making more money to now be able to afford these prices of these homes at whatever price level they're at. So I'll share this with you while we're here. When we're talking about what does normal really look like, and based off of what Redfin mentioned here, they said 2018 was normal, right? And this is really just looking at, again, income to prices, right? Just for specifically the home prices, right? It's states it right here. So I think it's if you're spending less than a third, right, 33% of your income should go towards housing. So this is what essentially that's why they're saying this is normal, right? So again, a third, or 30%, whatever number it is that you want to go ahead and utilize. But right now, again, as you can see, we're kind of hovering over it, practically 40%, honestly. And so that's not deemed as normal, right? It's essentially a lot more people are, at this point in time, can't guarantee this, but this is pretty much stating a lot more people are spending more towards housing, number one, and now so that it could mean a lot more towards their housing costs, their maintenance, probably less vacations, right? So those are the kind of things that is going to resort to. But let's go ahead and go back to this. Actually, I need that back up once more. So now that you know what normal is, let me know if you guys have any questions on that. All right, and let's keep in mind too. I don't know if it's going to state it here. Yeah, it is. Okay, so yes, we don't need that. So the path back to normal housing costs doesn't necessarily, and this is important. Okay, the path back to normal housing costs doesn't require a crash in home prices, right? Stability may be enough. And I think that's what a lot of people are not necessarily hoping for. That I don't think anybody that I know at least is hoping for stability. If anything, most people that I know, they want to crash. But we'll see what happens. But if stability is more the case, then I think this article does break down different scenarios. So you'll be able to see it. But buyers shouldn't expect affordability to snap back overnight. Again, this article is stating 2030. Right, that's when prices. I don't know. I don't know how long y'all want to wait for y'all to get a house, but just know the longer you wait to get a house, the longer it takes for you to go ahead and build equity. That's it. The money gonna go somewhere. You gotta stay in a house, or you gotta rent something, apartment, a condo, whatever the case may be. But the money's gonna go somewhere, right? So, how I look at it is, why not just pay yourself? But the trend lines point to real progress within this decade, which is phenomenal news. If mortgage rates decline modestly and price and income growth hold steadily, the market for home buyers could feel much different by the late 2020s. We are cautiously optimistic. Normalcy may not be as far as many might fear. Okay, great. As I mentioned, they chose 2018 as their baseline, and you got to keep in mind, right? In 2018, they were in mid fours. Right now, I just got rid of the freaking picture. We are in the sixes. Okay. So we have quite some ways to go if we're gonna try to get to a level like that, right? But home prices at the same time, home prices were rising, but still manageable, right? So that's something that right now we have an issue with, right? We don't have necessarily a home price. I would say yes, the home price issue is a thing, but it's more of a inventory thing. It's more of sellers versus buyers, existing homes versus new homes, right? That's really the big issue here, and the the only way to really get that under control is builders build, or these people. I shouldn't call you guys these people. Sorry, my apologies, but for the homeowners who have really low rates to go ahead and just say, you know what, I need out, or they put their home on the market for whatever reason. Those are the kind of situations that I don't really see how that becomes manageable, because it's like, only for someone that has a really good mortgage rate, why would they leave their really good mortgage rate to go ahead and get another home at a higher rate? And that's really the discussion. That's really the, not argument, but the back and forth that I have with a lot of homeowners. It's like, why would I sell if I just got to go buy something else that's probably going to be way smaller than what I got now, and I'm going to spend more? So that's one of the big issues. But the number of buyers and sellers was relatively balanced. As we all know, it is not balanced. I think I've shared that picture so many times that I'm not going to do it again. If you really need that picture, or at least you want to know what picture I'm talking about, it's the sellers versus buyers, where you can see there's like a 500,000 gap between how many buyers are missing in the market. If you need it, just let me know, and I'll go ahead and put it up there. But you should have seen it somewhere. But the national median monthly mortgage payment to income ratio had just reached 30% in that 2018 phase. So here's kind of the same picture I showed, just a little differently. So this one you can kind of see here back in 2012 is at 18%. This is literally just coming out of the financial crisis, essentially. So it was at its lowest, which, I mean, we all know home prices were really low then. I know most of us could have. We all would have bought back then. Shoot, knowing what we all know today, come on now. Woo! Crazy times, crazy times. But then we can kind of see a raise and raise and raise and raise. Right, so they're stating pretty much from 2018, which starts here, to essentially be that normal stage. And I mean, I guess they're using normal just because, again, that 30% threshold. But I think anything below this 30% can be deemed as normal, even in 2021. So when did it really take off? In 2022? Interesting. Which, yeah, I guess makes sense, because prices did go stupid then. So there's that. Normal does not necessarily mean affordable. Huh. You may be wondering, what the heck does that mean? So If we take a look at this here, we can also see how is it that, like I said, costs got to go somewhere. So you can't run from it. Whether it's you owning a home or you renting, or renting apartment, condo, townhome, whatever, you name it. The cost is going to go somewhere. And so this is kind of how, and I wish this would have pushed it back to 2018. Let me zoom in that for you. I wish this would have pushed it back in 2018, because then that would have gave you a visual of understanding how much someone was spending in 2018 in comparison to, what they were doing now. However, that's that. And we can even go ahead and take a look to see in what markets specifically are the most expensive. Once this go ahead and load, I'll bring it back up once it does. So we can see the areas specifically. So if you're like, hey, I need to buy in an area that's not gonna, cost me an arm and a leg, then you can kind of take a look. And this is just basically showing how much is a homeowner spending on their mortgage. Yeah, we can see Cali, and then I think they said California and DC were the largest, or at least the highest cost. And the lowest were West Virginia. West Virginia is right here, right? I think. I wonder what that was then. I mean, it had to be 1.3. But cool. Let me know if you guys have any questions based off of the things I am discussing, the stuff that I'm going over, because I don't want to lose y'all. I really do think that this information here it's in my opinion, right? And take it as you please. I think it's important because this is really going to share with you how you can set up your timeline now. Because back then it was more of just theory. It was more just kind of guessing. It was just like trying to figure out how is it that I can prepare myself to purchase. And most times I've been telling individuals, at least just suggestion, hey, do it based off of your monthly mortgage. What monthly mortgage payment are you comfortable with? That is the number that I've been saying everybody needs to really pay attention to more than anything. Because as I mentioned even earlier, everything, I mean, like literally everything can be manipulated. I just had a conversation with a guy that is in a new build. I kid you not, when he said this, I said, wow, this is the stuff that I really hope people are understanding and taking advantage of. $10,000 of closing costs. I think it was a 4.99 rate for FHA, VA. I don't know. I don't remember if it was conventional as well included in that. And then I think there was, and these are homes this was specifically a townhome, but they did have single family homes in that area too, in the 300s. And I was like, wow. I mean, immediately I was just like, I was with the buyer at that point in time, but I'm always thinking like, okay, who else can I share this information with? And so I'm bringing it to you guys so you guys hopefully can take advantage of that. If you want to know the area, just again, reach out to me. Or if you even need some assistance or understanding of what's going on in your local market, reach out to me. And I'll be more than happy to connect you to someone that can help you in that market that you're in. Because honestly, I have way more expertise and knowledge of North Carolina's market just because I obviously work in it. But if you need help in a different market, I can pair you up with someone that I know could go ahead and look out for you and share exactly what's going on there. It's just so you can prepare yourself as well. So one thing I do want to go ahead and kind of just share with you as we go back to this article here is, of course, as we know, normal does not necessarily mean affordable. So in 2018, the monthly mortgage payment to income ratio was 74% in San Francisco, right? So while it was just 18% in St. Louis. So as we guys, I just showed you in that picture too. Obviously, where you live is going to really dictate whether it's affordable or not. And I think affordability it's really case by case scenario, is subject to the person and of course what is that you even bring in on a monthly or annual basis. So you take what you want as like what's affordable to you, because that definition can be so far left and so far right in a sense where it's like there is no median. So identify what that really is for you. And how do you identify that 30% of your income that you are bringing in is the best way to kind of use it as a benchmark, as you guys can see, based off of even the chart that I showed you right up here, right? So they're using this line right here to gauge that 30%. And I don't know where that rule came from, but it's a rule, right? Well, no, it's not necessarily a rule. Because if you know what rules are, rules are meant to be broken. Only the real ones know. Only the real ones know. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else here. Okay, so this now we're gonna go ahead and tap into is the four different ways that the housing market can come to normal. But before going there, I don't want to go ahead and take another pause and say, when are you guys actually considering even purchasing? Let me know in the chat box. Let me know in the comments. When are you considering it? Because, despite what I said in today's video here, what was your thoughts going into this video, right? Because I hope I didn't necessarily change your mindset, but maybe I did. So if I did, just let me know what you were thinking about beforehand, before I start confusing everybody. Because if you were planning to purchase whenever, then I'm just curious to know what timeline did you have in mind, to see how is it that we can go ahead and let you know how you can position yourself for that timeline in itself. And if no comments come in, then I'm just gonna go ahead and keep trucking away. But I think a lot of people are going to start getting into the market just because it's like, man, how long can you wait? Some people just really get impatient. Literally. That's the funny part about it all. But I shouldn't continue live. Let's go ahead and just go over the four ways that the housing market can return back to normal. And this is all the hypotheticals, right? So this is not factual. This is not things that anybody is deemed that will happen. It may, but we'll see. So if mortgage rates are at 5.5%, which we're not there yet, unless if you're talking about maybe the 15-year fixed, and maybe you're there. But if we have negative price growth of 2%, negative 2%, right, then that normal will be in 2027. If no price growth actually happens, and again, where it's in stagflation, or prices just kind of stays where they're at today, then we're looking at January 2029 for housing costs to come back to normal. Then if, let's just say, price growth is 1.4%, then November of 2030. And if we have a 2%, then we're looking at July of 2020. Oh, wow. We're looking at July of 2032. And something that I will mention that I didn't say earlier, before I go to the next piece, or say at all, is I think with housing costs being an issue, I think, not even I think, there was a housing emergency. I'm sure you guys are all aware that, I don't know if it was already declared. I know it was stated. I don't know if it was actually there's actionable items behind that step, but I think that can also help with housing costs. So if there's an actual plan behind it, to way to help it out, help the housing market out, because it's no secret that the housing market is suffering right now, honestly. So if you're like, man, I really want to get a house, don't feel peer pressured. Don't feel like you gotta jump in tomorrow, because it's not just you, it's many people. But let's go ahead to see the other scenario, which I think if we really look at this one here, this is kind of where we're at right now. So if we have negative price growth with the mortgage rate being in the sixes, but this here says 6.7, so let's just use that for verbatim, right? So if we have negative 2% price growth, August of 2029, we have no price growth at all. Then September of 2031. So you can see already how much of literally, and that's only a 1%, just about a 1% difference in terms of mortgage rates, right? We're talking 6.7 and moderately lower rate at 5.5. And you can see how like 2 years, it's literally a 2 year difference each and every single time. So that's pretty cool to see. I mean, I'm trying to tell you guys, mortgage rates do play a factor. And so if, let's continue this, if mortgage rates if the current mortgage rate is at 6.7 and current price growth is at 1.4%, then we're talking about December of 2034. Jeez. And then, of course, 2% price growth and then no catch up in the next 10 years. And so all of this is really good to know and understand. And I would honestly say, identify and view what is happening in your local market when it comes to inventory. Because even what you see here, all of this could be kind of like washed away if there's very little inventory in your market. And in fact, if you have no builders there at all, a lot of that stuff can just be washed away entirely, because again, inventory is really the issue that drives prices. So if there's too much inventory going on, then of course I would kind of anticipate you're probably going to see a little bit, maybe not much price growth, or if any. But if there's not a lot of inventory in your market, or at least a lot of new builds going on to provide that inventory, then honestly, I would say then you might look at the more of the positive side of things, because a lot of people have great mortgage rates. That's the only reason why I'm saying it. If a lot of people have great mortgage rates, then they're not incentivized to move. That's literally what I'm getting. So I'm only here to share with you what exactly is happening on my end. That way you guys can go ahead and navigate your situation as well. So let's also take a peek at, I have another pretty picture for you that I'll go ahead and pull up. Just let me find it. Cool. So this is the areas. Did it share? No, it didn't share. All right. So this is the areas where housing costs will return to normal in less than 5 years. And this is, again, kind of utilizing the same framework that Redfin already discussed. Right. I just wanted to give you guys a visual of it, just because I know that what I just kind of shared with you was more or less just hypotheticals, right, based off of the price growth and even the mortgage rates, but nothing really discussed about what areas specifically. So here we can see where we're at right here: Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Sacramento, California, Los Angeles, Denver, Colorado. We got a lot of Texas, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Houston, Atlanta, Georgia. Ooh, look at that. I'm just reading. Give me 1 second. And all of this will return. Okay, so let me make something clear, because I don't think I said this in the beginning. So this is stating where home costs, I keep saying prices, housing costs will return to normal in less than 5 years if mortgage rates are at 5.5%. Right? If they're at 6.7, right, then it's not before this 5 years. So keep that in mind when looking at this specifically. I would highly encourage you all to take a screenshot as well, because then that's a little less things that you have to keep track of. Jacksonville, Florida, Tampa, Florida as well. So those are the markets where, assuming home prices continue to grow at the current rate in each metro, right? So that's actually pretty decent, because if it's also sharing with you based off of the current growth in those markets, then that's gonna help. So here's where it will not return to normal, assuming that it's, of course, at here, at least, assuming this is at that 5.5 and the purple is at that 6.7. So if we start on the West Coast, we have Anaheim, we have Las Vegas, Nevada. I thought, makes sense, I guess. What we have here, Charlotte. Oh, wow. So even with 6.7%, home prices continuously grow at where they're growing at. This is pretty much stating that they won't return. So it has to be lower then. That's unfortunate. Nashville, Tennessee, with an average mortgage rate of 5.5 or 6.7. Oh, that's pretty neat. So it's either or. Whatever you see in red, it's 5.5 or 6.7. Which honestly, I know they're building in Nashville, at least new homes. I don't know about Missouri. Well, that was St. Louis, Minneapolis. I don't know Michigan, Pittsburgh. So I know for a fact up here they're not really building. So Philly, New York, Providence, New York again, Montgomery County in Pennsylvania, Virginia Beach. All right. So I guess you guys all kind of get the gist there, right? I really will hope. Well, let me know if you want a picture of that, and I can go ahead and pull that back up for you. But I really hope that that information was a little bit more insightful to understand exactly, what even markets will return to normal under different circumstances. Again, me providing you these different markets is great, or at least these different scenarios is great, but it's not really applicable if you can't necessarily understand what markets is going to be impacted by this. So hopefully that was helpful. If not, let me know in the comments. If this is all hitting home for you, if this is all like, yes, this is the information I've been looking for, I needed, drop a fire in the chat, man. Let me know that this is something that you need or you want. That way I know I can provide this to you a little bit later and more often, right? Because if I come across this stuff, I just don't think, hey, let me share it with you guys. But if you guys give me that feedback, we're having a different scenario now. You can get a little bit of better content, essentially. But let me know if this is making you smile, or even if you have a question. Right? If you have a question about any of this, if you have a specific market that you want a little bit more information on, then this is your time to shine. Be the first one. Maybe you'll get something. I don't need this. I don't need this. I can share with you some other markets as well. Yeah, we'll go ahead and share with you some other markets. Since there's nothing coming in now in regards to questions, then I'll share my screen again and we can go through the different markets once more. So just more information. I want to say this is very similar to what I just showed you, just in the visual form. So we didn't go over every single market entirely. So you can go ahead and take a look at this, take a screenshot, do what you got to do. And I'll just go ahead and move on over to the next one, which doing the same thing. So at 6.7%, which is the current rate. These are the markets that, let me make sure I get this right, will return in less than 5 years. Right, so it was, we already kind of looked at this with that photo. So it's pretty cool to see this. Now you guys can kind of get a gist or understanding of what markets may return and what may not. Right, so let's read this here. If home prices are flat in each metro year over year, and mortgage rates are 5.5%, all but two of the top 50 metros, New Brunswick and Newark in New Jersey, will return to normal housing costs within 10 years. Geez, so if you're in New Jersey, I'm sorry, but you're going to continuously get handed a nice fist, right? a nice couple of bunches to the face still, right? Despite even rates being at 5.5%. If rates remain at 6.7%, then 38 metros will return to normal, which is great because we kind of all just got the gist of that. But I think the key part here, if you're in Jersey, it doesn't look good for you, regardless of what rates do, right? Maybe rates have to go lower than that 5.5, which, again, we're hearing it all throughout the industry. I mean, whether it's actual professionals, whether it's just people on the sideline talking, whether it's just people speculating, and a lot of people are saying, mortgage rates coming in at less than literally where we're at now, 5 to 6%, is won't happen anytime soon. But we shall see. All right, only time will tell. As you guys can see, I like to say that just because no one ever really knows what the heck is going to happen. Everything can change tomorrow, and everything I'm mentioning on the stream can go to ish tomorrow. Right. But this is why it's important to tap in, right? Tap in on occasion, or maybe on even every time I do this, so that you're fully aware of what's going on in the housing market to better assist and prepare yourself to take advantage of what the heck is going on. Because if you don't, then I don't know how to help you. Because that would be on your own will.
It's free real estate.
Literally. I'm giving you all this game for free. Y'all take it for granted. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you. The day I stop doing this, y'all gonna be like, Ronnie, 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 come back. So don't take it for granted. But here's some other markets as well. Again, we kind of already looked at all of this, so I'm not gonna spend too much time here. But this is for the markets that will not return to normal in less than 10 years. While rates are at 5.5%. So again, I'm not gonna. This is actually a little bit more than what that chart was even showing. So that's actually pretty helpful. Because I don't remember seeing Miami at all on that other chart. How is Virginia Beach on it? See, somebody messed up there. I don't remember Virginia Beach being. Yeah, I think Virginia Beach was on it. Yeah. Cool. And here are some other markets as well that will not return at current mortgage rates. As you can see, Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's so close to Raleigh. That's like, this is upsetting, kind of. I know Charlotte has a very similar landscape to what's going on in Raleigh too. So seeing this here, it's like, man, we really need lower rates in order for housing costs in North Carolina to at least. This is saying Charlotte, but Charlotte ain't no more than 30 minutes. I wish more than 2.5, 3 hours from Raleigh. So what's going on there is essentially gonna roll right over in this market as well. But unfortunately, that's some bad news that we definitely do have to start relaying to many individuals, especially if people are anticipating housing costs to go back to normal by 2030. Maybe I have to break the bad news and be the bad barrier here. Alrighty, so I guess something that I could point out, but it's not really the end of the world. Jeez, what did I do? Oh man. There we go. Here we go. So something I can mention is a lot of those areas that at least will return sooner. I don't know if you guys picked it up, but they were all really in the tech markets. So those in areas that have a lot of high income growth, right? So those are the areas where, shockingly, they kind of are likely to return quicker. So if you're in an area where you're expecting, or at least expected to, or at least looking at a specific area because of high income growth, then that can be an area that can return sooner. But those areas that are likely to struggle, of course, are going to be based off of fast price growth and maybe even slower wage growth, right? So those are two big no-nos, and that's essentially what's going on right now. That's why housing affordability is an issue. It's just because prices went up, but home prices specifically, and even costs went up to the point where the income of every individual that wants to purchase it didn't match it. It's not even the same. So that's something that you can go ahead and pay attention to as well. So that's another way of looking at it. It's seeing really what markets are going to have higher income growth, to see, are you going to be positioned in a sense where you can really take advantage of housing costs coming back to normal, maybe even sooner than all this entire article is even mentioning. However, let's go ahead and take a look at. Do we have any questions coming in? Nope, no questions. I have this picture that I want to share with you because we're talking about different markets. We're talking about housing affordability. We're talking about costs coming back to normal. So where are costs at under 300,000. All right, this is helpful information because right now, if I go to Redfin right now to go see what the median housing cost is or housing price is in the United States, we're easily looking at the 400. So in these markets specifically, right, you can see they're really centered in one area, so you can't go too far. But here are some in Rochester, New York. What? I don't know about that. Really? That's interesting. I would have never thought we would see New York on this list whatsoever. The fact that it's there is pretty impressive, but I thought everywhere in New York is out of reach. However, this is these markets specifically about homes, and this is as of August of 2025, but this is housing markets that are that have homes under at least their median list price is less than 300,000, which I would at least deem as affordable, just because again if we look at the median cost of a home right now throughout the entire United States, we're easily looking at just 400. Like if I literally go to Redfin right now, that's probably exactly what's gonna happen. In fact, just so you guys know, I'm not BSing you. Let's go and see it. All right, let me go ahead and pull it up. In the meantime, let me know if you guys do have any questions about what's going on. What are you seeing in the housing market? What questions that you have specifically? Maybe it is one of your friends that's going through a scenario that you need me or want me to break it down. Just let me know in the comments below, or at least in the chat box. Keep saying comments below as if like y'all are not here with me right now. True. But I said 400s, right? Do you believe me now? The median sale price. Right, and that's fair, right? It says sales price, so that's completely fine. Yeah, I'll do you even a better solid. And this is throughout the entire United States. So let's make that clear. I'm trying to find list price. I'm on the wrong thing, right? Well, that's unfortunate. All right. Redfin. There we go. So we have just about 440, right? We had on that one. Let's see if we can get list price here. See, I know how to get to this stuff real quick. So right now we're looking at 402. So just about 400,000. So in regards to what the home is getting listed at is about 400. In comparison to what the homes are selling at is about 430. That's the gap right there. So you're probably like, how is that even possible? Yeah, there's some markets people are probably still overbidding, which by all means, I don't know why you're doing that, but do what you need to do in a sense. So yeah, like I said, so if we're looking at homes that are under that 300,000 mark, still getting a bargain. But how long are you going to get that bargain for? I don't know. Can it go even lower than that? Probably, wherever they're at. So let me know if you guys do have any questions. If you guys have any questions specifically on what I'm discussing, or maybe about your local market, or maybe you want to actually move to North Carolina. Ooh, throw your hands up, take your shirt up, twist it in like a helicopter. If you want to go ahead and do that, then you know what I mean. Just reach out to me. Link is in the description below. You should be able to find it. If you want to get connected to somebody that is outside of North Carolina, because of course I don't service that area, then you can always reach out to me as well, and I can definitely connect you to a local agent in that area that will go ahead and take care of you. They'll give you advantage to make sure you're protected, and of course, let me give you some inside scoop, because again, everybody I'm at least reaching out and sending to your way, they're all pre-vetted. These are individuals I have great relationships with, and I know that they take care of their clients the way that at least I would. So, but maybe you're not even in the market just quite yet. Maybe you're just kind of like I'm ready, but I'm not ready. I just need to kind of sit on the sideline a little bit longer. I do have a newsletter that I will start to share with you all. If you guys do want access to it, just I think you should be able to find the description below as well. I think it's there. But again, on a weekly basis, because again, I don't come on here on a weekly basis. So if you want to really stay up to date, or maybe you don't like to sit with me for an hour for whatever reason, it's like, dang, yo, you really that scared? But no, on a serious note, if you would just want updated information just sent to your email, then I definitely highly recommend that you sign up for the newsletter. That way you can get that straight there, and you don't have to sit here and chatter with me for a whole hour on a nice whopping Wednesday. Hope you guys are all staying blessed, though, by the way. So if you're just now tapping in, you missed a lot. You missed literally how this article by Redfin states the 4 different ways that the housing market can return to normal. You missed out on what markets may return to normal in less than 5 years if certain scenarios were to occur, or even some markets where it won't even return back in certain if certain scenarios were to occur. In fact, I actually just came across if the current market at the current mortgage rates 6.7 or whatever it is around that time frame, I just found out that Charlotte, North Carolina won't return to normal. So if Charlotte, North Carolina won't return to normal, then there's a high chance that Raleigh is not going to return to normal. Unless if rates are a lot lower than, of course, where the current rates are at. So that is that. Again, if you are just now tapping in and you're just now like, what in the heck are we talking about? You just missed out on the different scenarios that individuals, or at least the Redfin researchers, are hypothetically saying that what need to occur for housing costs to kind of come back to normal, right? And I keep saying housing costs but because housing costs can also be housing price, just because, again, if you bring costs down, then that means what these builders are going to typically want to charge maybe a little bit less than what's already out there right now. But let's go ahead and continuously to move forward. Let me see if I have anything else that I really need to discuss. Oh, you guys already know there's a buyer store shortage. In fact, you guys are all sitting on the sidelines right now. This is a fun fact. I'm just reading. So this is the most buyer-friendly market since 2008. Who would have wondered? Since 2008. Wow. And affordability is the major issue right now. Even if we're in a buyer's market, it's the affordability that's the issue, right? So that's where the housing cost really comes into play here. And this is where really this entire article comes into play, and helping everybody understand what scenarios may need to occur to be able to, be able to expect better housing costs. But I think it's not only going to be based off of the mortgage rates, it's really going to be income as well. So if you're in a market where, you're trying to get a job, or you're looking for jobs, or people who are looking, I think the best way to identify if there is income growth in your market is to just really talk to your peers. If you really want to talk to your peers in your office or your coworkers, to really see, like, are you guys getting increases? If you're not getting increases, just kind of get the word out and try to see if people are. And if people are getting new jobs, are they seeing increases, or are they starting at where you're starting at? So that's kind of the reality. Because one thing I will definitely say is income. Yes, we can go ahead and say, everybody's, we're short. There's the income growth thing. It's mortgage rates. But at the end of the day, we're also short, I think, 4 to 5 million homes. So, it's a new construction thing as well that needs to occur. And if new construction needs to go ahead and the building materials, right? These things cost. If that's the case, then these costs won't go down if they don't get a hold of that as is. But we have a pretty dead room today. Pretty quiet in terms of just people not really wanting to speak much. I guess you guys all don't really care about housing costs, and you guys all are big balling. In fact, if y'all all big balling, you know what I mean? Throw your dollars up. You know what I mean? Just throw your dollars up. Throw it in the air. Throw it like you just don't care. Because all I gave out today was free real estate. It's free real estate game, y'all. Free. Free 99. You don't got to do nothing. to get this. You just got to come here, ask questions, and try to get a better understanding of what's going on in your local market. That way you can prepare yourself for whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you want to go ahead and purchase. Because everybody's going to be in a different timeline and time zone. So I highly recommend know your timeline and be able to execute on an opportunity when it does arise. All right, because if you're looking specifically for your purchase timeline to be in 2026, 2027, your best case is for prices to decline and rates to drop. That way you could probably see improvements of, everything in 2027. You know what I mean? I mean, when I say prices and rate drops, all that stuff is not going to be immediately. But, of course, if you know what your monthly budget is and you know what you need your monthly mortgage to be around, then you should be all right. One thing I would definitely say is do not count. I mean, we heard it from the lady earlier in the stream. Well, I literally shared with you what her expert says. She says 2026 prices will come down, but they will rebound in 2027. So, I mean, I don't know what more y'all need from me. I'm literally telling you what all these experts are saying. They have the information, they have the data, the relationships to know exactly how they're going to even navigate certain situations. I'm just here to relay the message just so I know that you all can take advantage of it. So please don't be the person to not take advantage of this and wait on the sideline just because the news is feeding you one thing. Don't be that person, because they're never going to feed you. They'll probably feed you good information, right? But it's how you interpret it at the end of the day and what you really take from it on how you decide to act on whatever it is that you need to act on. But like I said, we have a pretty dead room right now, so I might just peace out on this one because there's no question that's really coming in. So I guess I'll go ahead and wrap up. Hopefully you're just now tapping in just now, but if you're watching this all the way to the end, good for you, because I mean that just really shows how invested you are in your home buying journey and making sure that you are well equipped and ready to go ahead and tackle whatever the scenario may be. Just know normalcy is possible by 2030, right? And different markets with different situations may get there a little bit sooner than others. So understand specifically what market that you're in. This stream definitely did go over with some of those markets. So go ahead and rewind and find it. I'm sorry I can't timestamp it and pinpoint it for you. You're just going to have to look for those maps that I did show, and that can definitely maybe help you identify exactly what market. So don't expect a crash. A crash is not necessarily required for home prices to go back to normal. I know a lot of individuals want that. So if you're waiting for it, have fun waiting, because honestly, I don't know how long you're going to wait. And I'll be the first one to tell you, if things look bad, I'll come up here and be like, hey, things are looking bad. Prices are going to start crashing. I'll be more than happy to share that with you guys all. But always take a look to see what's going on in your local market. As you guys all know, real estate is very hyper local. So understanding what's going on there is going to really give you that hindsight and that insight that you really need to know exactly how quickly or how slow you need to move. Because again, I know now a lot of people are rate sensitive. In fact, we're seeing it when rates dropped not too long ago. I think last week or whatever the case may be, whenever they dropped recently. I mean, you can see it, you can feel it, you can hear it. Like, my phone was starting to bling a little bit more. It's just one of those things. But the last thing also is income growth. So if you're in an area where there's a lot of new jobs, I mean, in fact, if you're talking tech jobs, AI jobs, right, we know they're getting the big bucks. So that is going to be another key thing to at least identify and look at as far as how soon does everything return to normal. I don't think it's necessarily going to be prices. I think personally it's going to be income growth that is going to enable everything to go to normal. But just my 2 cents. Take it how you please. You don't have to listen to me at the end of the day. But just know, if I'm right, I'm right. But y'all have a good one. Y'all stay blessed. If you want to know if I'm going to do the stream on next week or the week after that, just come to this channel on Monday. Well, I should say Tuesday at the latest, and you'll know for sure if I'm going to be doing the stream. But y'all stay blessed. Y'all be safe out there in this world. Spooky world we live in. And yeah, I'm out of here. Peace.